Rated M for mature.
Contagious anger.
What is up, guys? Currently just doing some stuff. What? Do what? I'm being told to hold on. It's in the middle of the day live stream. I've been trying to do a radio show all day. It's a bit of an issue sometimes. It really is. And today I tried doing it a couple times. I kept having the internet introduction, bull crap, whatever it is. Interruption, not introduction. Introduction kind of means I'm being introduced to the internet, which if I was just being introduced to the internet, I need to get off of it. I mean, unless I'm in my 60s, I'm in my 20s. There's no excuse. How are you all doing today? Excellent day. I'm feeling great sometimes. You know those moments where you feel like you need to take a shit just because you feel awful? You're like, dude, I got to be able to do I need to take a shit? What's going on? And then you're like, no, because you're still on the toilet. And no, it's not about pooping. What's going on? Is this something I ate last night? It's something you ate. It's always something you ate. Oh, my God. This one time, I swear, 50 people. What? Yeah? What are you all up in?
So this is what I'm gonna do. Alright, so I shared one of Adam's videos, and I'm gonna make it to where I'm going on Windows, and I'm gonna make it like all shady and all that, and be like, go like my page, go see all my videos and stuff, and I'm just gonna make it look all fucking cool.
Did you see what happened to the wires?
Yeah.
So bad. My wires are all caught up. I can only take the mic so far. We're having a serious day at work. Some serious stuff is happening. It's very, she's mad. Anyway, we were going to have Adam on today for Oops, but apparently he didn't want to be on here. It's fine. It's fine. Nobody's angry. Nobody's upset. How are you all doing today? How are you all? How is the world right now? You know, I had a couple things that I kind of wanted to discuss. But before we discuss anything at all, in fact, we're not going to discuss anything. I'm just kidding. Before we discuss anything, I think it's important to talk about some modern news, some stuff that's happening. Trump said he got a $1 million discount on Melania's engagement ring. He lied. Years before he became president, Donald Trump claimed he got a $1 million discount on Meliana, whatever her name is, engagement ring, which weighs more than 10 carats, but that is not the truth. What do you think of that? He lies about money so much. Thousands signed petition to remove judge who sentenced blind child rapist to probation. A petition to remove an Oklahoma judge. So this happens in Oklahoma, and by the way, rape is totally okay in Oklahoma. I don't know if you knew that. Culturally, it is anyway. There's an issue of culture in Oklahoma. There's a lot of people who do a lot of really fucked up shit, and it just seems to be perfectly fine for everyone else. The Mexican police find tiger cubs sent by express mail. Authorities in Mexico say they rescued a sedated tiger cub that had been placed in a plastic container and sent via express mail. Oh my God. Scott Baio faces new allegations from another Charles in Charge co-star. A second cast member of the 1980s sitcom Charles in Charge has accused actor Scott Baio of abusive behavior. I didn't even watch that show. Sorry, I'm not old enough. The weight loss trend that cost a teenage athlete her life. We had no signs she was healthy a week before. She was healthy 5 days before that happened. So apparently she's a teenage boxer. And you know how it is with fighting. There's always the weight cutting. And I think, you know, honestly, if you're a teenager and you're going to be in any kind of sport that involves weight cutting, wrestling, MMA, boxing, you have to understand that you're a growing person, and like, you know what I mean? Even when you get 16, 17, 18 even, you're still growing. You're not grown yet. You haven't developed into your body yet. So I think whatever weight class you end up in, don't push it too hard. You know what I mean? There's a difference between what? Anyway, there's a difference between what? Now I'm distracted.
It won't let me do it. I thought I could do like
She doesn't have the skills. She does not have the skills. Michael Rappaport rips Trump's wig on Instagram after hair flip shows bald spot. Look, I've got 2 bald spots on my head. Well, bald patches. I've got 2 bald patches on my head. I'm not going bald. So, honestly, who gives a shit? Why are we now making fun of Trump's hair? You know what I mean? Why are we personally attacking? Why are we personally attacking our president? Here's the thing. Don't personally attack him. If you're going to personally attack him, then you have to be upfront about being an asshole, because the thing is you could disagree with his politics all day, and I don't agree with him for the most part. Well, Trump's a little confusing. He says this, does that, and then he'll do this and say this, and he'll say some of this over here, and you're like, what? And then he'll do that, and you go, oh, well, that's nice. He's a very confusing president, but I think he's at least trying his best to not look like a villain on every single day he's doing horrible shit to this country. But Jimmy Kimmel spots something intriguing about Melania Trump's Twitter account. Jimmy Kimmel dissected Melania Trump's Twitter game on Wednesday night and discovered it, and I'm not even going into that, because here's the thing about Jimmy Kimmel. They're just talking about the First Lady like she's bullshit. And they're talking about the president like he's bullshit, and nobody respects, and generally nobody respects the presidency. What happened to this bullshit when Obama was president and people were hating on him? The media was like, oh, but they don't know. He's Obama, okay? He's a good person. Don't attack him. You know what I mean, though? It's about with the media. And honestly, it's flip-flopped. From Obama to Trump, it's flip-flopped.
All right. So, all right. Obama and Trump were the worst fucking presidents that we had. And I'm not saying that because I'm mad right now, but I've seen all the stuff that they threaten on us and everything whenever they don't really do shit. They don't. Have you seen Donald Trump actually build a wall and actually make Mexico pay for it? Because really, Mexico's not really going to pay for it. He should already know that by now.
They said immediately after he made that comment, they were talking about immediately how he's not going to do it.
Yeah, because you know what? You can't go to everyone's house and be like, oh, you're an immigrant. Oh, you're an immigrant because they're Hispanic. Really? Like, I got my green card. Huh? What's up?
In other news, there's a family. No, seriously though, in other news, there's a family who's suing Starbucks after they found blood on a 2-year-old's drink. The California family is suing Starbucks after 2-year-old apparently drank a beverage that contained a barista's blood. Oh, fucking A. That's dark. That's just dark. Why is she getting blood on shit? That's just... If you're going to work with food, no bleeding. No matter what, you're not going to get away with it. Nobody's going to appreciate you for it. In other news, I think it's Kentucky State University. I think there's a sophomore. It specifically says there's a Kentucky sophomore reportedly be protected by an armed student. An armed student has reportedly been protecting a Kentucky sophomore Ty Wynyard at parties on campus. I think that's fine, especially if he's like some high-profile athlete. It's good to have somebody protecting him at all times. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Do you see anything wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. Danica Patrick shares side-by-side body image to inspire fans. Why does she have a body image? She's hot as fuck. I know there's all this shit about Danica Patrick, but like she's hot as shit. What does she have to worry about body image for? I'd fuck the shit out of her blindfolded, and then there's so much bullshit in the news. Is there any real news left? The Falcon Heavy launched yesterday. It was launched a Starman on his trip through the solar system, but we're still here to bring you the latest news, I guess. But there, Heavy Falcon Heavy. Sorry, that was made by SpaceX. Can't remember his name to save my life right now. Elon Musk, and he was the same guy who built the rocket that could land itself. So I'm pretty excited about the fact that he's launched something else. A senator who warned of anti-Trump's secret security has a new theory on FBI text. Skipping. In Tucson, Arizona, there was a woman accused of abandoning a newborn in an airport, and they caught her on video. They have the footage. Nurses all over the internet think Jack's death is on This Is Us could have been avoided. Oh, really? That's what we're talking about? We're talking about a TV show? That's what we're talking... Okay. Look, we're going to talk about Black Lives Matter for like 5 minutes. Black Lives Matter is not a... It's not something that actually empowers black people. It is something that supports racism. It is something that empowers the ideology that our government is inherently racist, which is not true. This is a movement that is shoving information down people's throats that just isn't true. And it's honestly, most black people in this country don't follow this shit because it victimizes black people, and it makes them seem like... It makes black people as a whole seem like they're a targeted group, when that's just not true. Statistically, more white people are killed every single year than black people. Statistically, black people are only going to prison at the same rate that they're committing crimes, and so is everybody else. I just think it's ridiculous. But a Black Lives Matter activist who snatched a Confederate flag was killed in New Orleans. A Black Lives Matter activist who made headlines last year when he leaded through police tape to grab a Confederate flag away from a protester was fatally shot in New Orleans early Tuesday. Black Lives Matter who made the headlines. Oh. So there was this, I think it was Channel 5 News, which is CBS for the New Orleans. And there were people standing behind a taped line. And there's this guy holding up a Confederate flag. And this guy jumps over the thing, grabs the Confederate pole. Well, he grabs the pole with the flags on. And yeah. Here's the thing about the Confederate flag. People think that it's inherently racist, right? Because it's the South, and that's what it's all about, right? It's just about racism, and the South will rise again, and that means that what I just said was racist. But just by saying the South will rise again, it's all bullshit, okay? It's just all bullshit. And it's something that is creating a bigger problem around itself, just the more people listen to it. If you listen to it, if you're talking about it, you give it power. Because at some point, it's not about what's true and what's not true. At some point, it's literally just about the conversation itself and how people feel about it. And then that becomes the conversation. We're no longer talking about real racism in this country because nobody wants to talk about the fact that you can't prove it because there's not enough around for you to prove. The second thing most people want to talk about is the fact that it empowers people to have racism around. What exactly would minorities, period, what exactly would they be able to say about their living conditions if they didn't openly say it was because of their race? What else would they have to say? You live in a slump piece of shit because you don't have a good job or a college degree, and you don't take care of yourself. You did not put yourself in a position in your life where you could be doing better. And your whole excuse is that because of my race, people won't give me the job. You're right. You're right. But you're only right about one thing in that sentence. Nobody's going to give you anything. You're not getting anything. We live in a country where you absolutely have to earn every fucking thing you have or you don't have anything. That's it. That's it. White people have to go through the same process as everybody else. But you know what it is? It's culture. Ben Shapiro even said this once, and you can say whatever you want about Ben Shapiro, but he was right on this one thing. It's not about race, it's about culture. How come the single parenthood within the black community has skyrocketed from, I think it was, I don't know what the percentage was now, but I don't know what the percentage was then, sorry, but I know what it is now. It's upward of 70%. Since I think, since the 1960s, I think it was only at maybe 20, 30, it was somewhere in there, 20, 30, something like that. And it's skyrocketed. The single motherhood rate within the black community is ginormous. Is that because what do you think the excuse would be by race why black fathers are refusing to take care of their children or refusing to be responsible? You think that has anything to do with white people doing that to people?
Okay, I feel like it's every race that does that. Every race does that. I don't know why people are just saying that black fathers do it, because, I mean, really, just guys are assholes. Y'all really are, and I'm talking about guys in general, because if you're gonna have a kid, if you don't use protection, if you don't do anything about it, and then you have a kid, why don't own up to your responsibility? I mean, some people do, some people don't, and yeah, they might be young, but that's not an excuse. You chose to have sex. You chose to do it with someone that you either known for a while, that you haven't, and you should just own up.
Yeah. To me, it's about culture. It's not about race. I know plenty of people who aren't white who are living very good lives because they made the good decisions to live when they were. They were great decisions. These people, Assad Fatah, I love using him as an example. Throughout his entire life, and he was born here in America, throughout his entire life, people always ask him, where are you from? He's from here. He was born here. He's not from anywhere else. He was born here. But to this day, people will ask him, where are you from? He doesn't have an accent. He doesn't dress foreign. People still ask him, where are you from? And then sometimes you get people who are completely surprised that he doesn't have an accent. It's just, I'm talking about a guy who worked his ass off through high school, which, by the way, I went to a football high school, which means they don't give a shit about education there. You have to work your ass off just to get by. I'm not talking about straight A's. Unless you're a football star, you don't get straight A's. They don't give you shit. This is not a school that hands out grades. You have to fucking earn every single thing you did. And honestly, in Katy High School, and I'm putting this on the teachers, they do not give a fuck about you passing. They don't. They'll sit by and they'll watch you do fucking nothing. They don't care. You have to put yourself through that. You have to do your part of studying. And there's plenty of people who go through school and they can say the same thing, but I'm talking about a school that does not give a shit. If you're not in a sport, they do not give a shit. They do not care. I'm talking about a guy right now who went through that high school, not straight A's, but he got good enough grades to go to U of H. And while he's at U of H right now, he went to a community college for some classes, but he's at U of H right now. He is there because he earned his way there. Nobody's paying for his education. He figured it out himself. Nobody helped him. Nobody gave it to him. He went out and he took it. And right now he's working at VMware making $5,000 a month because he put himself in that spot. He put himself in the situation where he could grab that opportunity. Nobody's handed him a single fucking thing in his life, and he's a minority. And I'm sorry, but black people, do you really think you have it worse than somebody who looks like a terrorist? Do you really think you have it worse? Do you? Culturally, do you? Black people have been in this country for a very long time. We identify black people as Americans, absolutely. No question. You don't look at a black person and say, where are you from? You know they're from here. It's America. We got black people here. They're here. You know what I mean? It's part of the culture. It's part of America. Of course they're here. Why wouldn't they be here? They live here. When you look at a Muslim, you don't think of them as American. You don't look at them and say, oh yeah, it's one of them. Just like there's one of us and one of them. No. 9 out of 10 times people look at Middle Eastern people and they know right off the bat they know right off the top of their head that they are not American. Oh, they probably came here overseas. Right? Initial. Now, I'm not saying this as a racist thing, because there's nobody who thinks that way absolutely, right? But it's a different level. And for you to sit here and say that you're the people, black people are the people who are being attacked, black people are the ones who are being set aside with. Now, I don't want to sound racist. I don't want to come across as racist, because I'm trying to prove a point here. This country as a whole is not racist. This country as a whole, throughout all of its people, all at once, there is no racism. Race does not define your part in life. It doesn't change whether or not you go to jail or not. It's not about race anymore. It isn't at all. If you fuck up and you make a mistake and you break the law, and it was bad enough for you to go to jail over it, that's what happens to you. That's what will happen to me. There's this whole thing about how if black people are caught with weed, they go to jail. But if white people are caught with weed, they're not. Somebody really got in my face and was talking about that. He goes, dude, if a cop caught you with weed right now, nothing would fucking happen to you. I got caught with less than a gram, and I spent the weekend in jail. And he got in my face and said that. So I punched him in the face, and while I was on top of him, I made it very clear to him to make this point. I'm just kidding. I didn't punch anybody. I did psychologically because I was caught with an ounce in 2 mason jars. It was an ounce in 2 mason jars. And it was all the weed together, it was just an ounce. When I went to jail, and by the way, I spent a weekend in jail. When I got in front of a judge, they told me that I had to deal with a felony because it was over 5 pounds, because they weighed the mason jars separately, by the way. They weighed the mason jars, and I was accused of a felony amount of marijuana. I had a $6,000 bond. Okay. I had a $6,000 bond. And, you know, the judge flat out told me, you're going to get out, but be ready to go right back in. He flat out looked at me and he said, you're going to be able to get out. I'm setting your bond, but you're going right back in. He told me I was looking at 2 to 3 years because it was a felony's amount. He said, I'm looking at 2 to 3 years minimum. And you know, if you still believe in white privilege, you're wrong. You're just wrong. Me being white has not helped me in life. It has never, ever helped me in life. Me being white has given me 0 privileges. When I was in 1st grade, little kid, tiny little kid, stupid little kid, right? Jumping around, having fun, being goofy, being a child, right? Because I didn't do what I was told in 1st grade. I just would go in and have fun. I didn't do what I was told because I'm a kid. I'm a tiny little kid. I was labeled, I think they tried to label me as bipolar, and then I had to take a vocal test. It's the kind of test you don't write down stuff. You talk to somebody, and they give you the test. You know what I mean? Nope, not bipolar. I spent like an hour and a half with somebody. Not bipolar. Nope, that's not it. What about ADD? I went through the same process. Nope, that's not it. ADHD? Nope, that's not it. You know what they landed on? And I went through all this shit for years. And while I was going through this shit, from 2nd grade up, I was in special ed classes with kids that, let's be honest, had mental problems, real ones. Real mental problems. Biting their fingers all the way to the bone, literally biting their finger off, bleeding everywhere. People who would pull other people's hair out. I'm talking about really violent children. People with mental issues that I was shoved into a group with just because I was a wild little kid. There is no white privilege. I've been abused by the government system my entire life. There is no white privilege. There is no privilege for me. I spent 5 years in high school. You want to know why? Because my 1st year of high school, I fucked up. I didn't do shit. And nobody gave me a goddamn grade because of my skin color. Nobody gave a fuck about me because I didn't give a fuck about what I was doing. And when you don't care about what you're doing, nobody cares about you. It's not about race. When you go out of your way to fuck around and to not do what you're supposed to be doing to take care of yourself, nobody's going to take care of you for you. It's not about race. I think a lot of people get confused in this country because when you feel bad about something, there's typically this reaction to, oh, I'm sorry you feel bad. What can I do to help? Right? It's, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. Can I do anything to help? Right? Typically good people are like that. And there's confusion. Because when black people, they say left and right that they feel attacked, they feel targeted, and people go, I'm sorry you feel that way. Is there any way I can help? everything they say is now justified. Everything they were accusing you of is justified. They scream white privilege through their fucking teeth every goddamn day just because white people feel bad. Oh, shit. Man, he doesn't feel like he has equal opportunity? That sucks. Is there any way we can make him feel like he does? Yes, there is. There's laws in Texas. Well, actually, there's federal laws that empower people by their race. If you go to college, there's a law for this. It's a real law. If you go to college and you're white and you don't make it to that upper crust of the grades, you weren't a straight A student, you're not likely to get accepted into that college because of your grades. If you didn't have good grades, you're not going into college. That's what it's about. You need to have good grades so that they know you're going to take your education seriously. There are laws in this country that say, well, wait, are you a minority? Specifically, are you a minority? Well, I mean, there's this law that says that we need to have a certain amount of, mix it up. We can't just have white people in here. So yeah, you didn't do as well in school, but we're trying to give equal opportunity out. So even though you didn't do as well, we're gonna accept you. You're come in. You're gonna go to college here because of their race. You can look this up yourself. There are laws that let that shit happen every day. And I'm not sitting here and saying that I don't like those laws because it's not about what I like. It's not about what I support. It's not about what I don't support. It's about this. Your race in this country should not defect or affect the way that you have your success. It should not make a goddamn difference. And for a lot of situations, it does not. It doesn't make a difference whether you're this or that. If you put in the work, if you're the right guy, and if you grab that opportunity that's in front of you, it's yours. Nobody can take it from you. Period. That's how it is. That's how it's been for a very long time. I think it's been that way for about 40 years. You can have whatever argument you want about race. That's the truth fact of it. My entire life, I've never treated anybody different because of their race. Ever. Not even once. Not even for any reason. Never. When I was a little kid, and this was after they threw me in that special ed bullshit. I remember this one time I was on the playground. I was just having fun. Wasn't doing anything too crazy. Just having fun, playing Foursquare, a little basketball, go swing on the swing sets. Nothing too crazy. This one time I was playing Foursquare. Now, they had this thing where if you get knocked out, then whatever position you're in, because there's 4 squares. There's a square you start in, and it's picture a whole square that's cut into 4 pieces equally. You have the bottom left, that's where you start. The bottom right is the second place, and then top right, and then top left. You know what I mean? It moves like a C. So anybody who gets knocked out, they all kind of move, and then somebody else fills in that first step. And if you make it all the way to the 4th square, then you get to have the ball and you get to start the game, right? You get to boom, and then it starts going back and forth. That's it. It's a little bit like ping pong. And there was this black girl who had just come up to the line, so she was in the back of the line. And then she really wanted to play, and it was my turn to go up. And so when I stepped up and I was ready to play, she shoved me to the ground and she said, "Move out of the way, white trash." She said, "Move out of the way, white trash." Now, this is completely unprovoked. I didn't do anything to her. I didn't know who this was. Yet she was willing to shove me on the ground and call me white trash because she wanted to play. And I got up, I go, "What are you doing? It's my turn." She goes, "But you get plenty of turns. You get plenty of turns." That's just not the truth. I play, I lose, I get back in line. And I wait. You play, you lose, you get back in line, you wait. You go to the back of the line, by the way, and you gotta wait. She randomly shows up in the back of the line, doesn't want to wait, shoves a white guy on the ground, calls him white trash, and to her, it's completely justified because white people are evil, right? Well, I've never done anything to black people up to this point, and I have never done anything to black people racially ever in my life. So now, she's created racism. Well, she didn't that day, because even though her actions were extremely racist, it has not affected the way I see black people because it's not about race. It's about the individual. That girl, individually, is a bitch. She's a fucking bitch. She's not a racist bitch, because at that age, she was taught to think that way. She was taught. She's a little girl. Little girls and little boys, they don't do a lot of stuff on their own. They do what they're taught to do. I guarantee you she came from a household that was racist. Because it's the same story over and over again. You don't get the opportunities that you think you deserve because you deserve them. And then it turns into this whole thing about how other people are oppressing you and putting you down. There's two different mindsets to when things don't go your way. There's one that doesn't work, and then there's one that does. Here's the one that doesn't work. When you don't get what you want, you blame the world for it. It's not my fault. It's your fault. It's not my fault. It's the system's fault. It's not my fault. It's the world's fault. It's not my fault. This is just the way God put me in life. I can't change it. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. I didn't do this. It's not my fault. That doesn't work for anyone. You cannot get success by blaming others, but you cannot get success by not asking this question: what can I do differently? All right, so that didn't work. What can I do differently? And then keep asking that question, step at a time. What can I do differently? Because it's not about race. It's not about what color you are. It's about what you do. It's about the opportunities you take. It's about the kind of life you're leading. I don't lead a life where I judge people by skin color. So I meet all sorts of type of different people that we all share a similar mindset to. Because I like being friends with people that mentally we have things in common. We like the same things. You know, we share some of the same ideologies. When it comes to arguing, we can have differing points, but we can argue about it. You know what I mean? We don't have to fight about it. It could just be a simple argument. I like people like that. So I hang around people like that. And there's a lot of people like that. And, you know, it doesn't come down to race. I have friends that are from Palestine. I have friends that are from Pakistan. I have friends that are from Uganda. I have friends that are from Brazil. I have friends that are from Canada. All over the world. I have friends that look all sorts of different that are from here. But my friends are my friends because of the people I hang around. They're not my friends because of race. They're not my friends because I judge them who they are. And it's a bullshit point of view to say that that's how you live your life. That you're only in the position you're in because of your skin color. You're in the position you're in because that's the life you were born into. And since that point forward, it's the decisions you've made on your own. Now, if you're a little kid, I can't say much for you. Just because I was a kid too once. And honestly, as a child, your life, the way you live your life has more to do with the way that the people who are taking care of you are structuring your life. You know what I mean? If you don't have a big TV in your room, it's not likely because you made the wrong choices. It's likely because your parents couldn't afford to put a TV in your room. You know what I mean? What?
You're gonna be happy.
Why?
Maxo Cream is coming on March 28th at the Warehouse Live.
That's awesome. Maxo, yeah, I want to go.
Do you want to save up
Cream, click, gang, motherfucker.
If I get you tickets for your birthday, would you be happy?
Yeah,
When's your birthday?
February 26th.
Alright, well this is gonna be a late birthday present. But
Really? I love Maxo Cream. I don't think I could play his music on the air. You think they'd let me, or you think they'd copyright me?
You've done it before whenever.
Yeah, but I'm worried about copyright infringements left and right now. YouTube is horrible about that.
How much is this ticket?
It's just like a...
It's $20 to $50. So I mean, I can do it.
That'd be dope. Let's go see Maxo. Is anybody going to be with him, or is it just him?
It's just Maxo.
Aw.
I think. Well, this is only for Maxo. Like
You think it's gonna be all the cream click? Because if he's gonna do Cell Boom, and I want Father to be there. That rapper Father. He's the guy who is on that song. He goes, "Stop playing with my phone. All you little boys, man, leave me alone." For 2 tickets? We gotta get Adam to come with us. Ooh, yeah. Cream Click's awesome. What was I talking about?
You were talking about...
Fuck what I was talking about. Marla Maples never said that she had the best sex of her life with Donald Trump. That's Donald's ex-wife. Oh my god. Oh my god, a Texas teen dies months after going missing and reuniting with family. That's sad. North Korea says its nuclear weapons are no longer controversial and U.S. should focus on peace. I think North Korea should just get blown the fuck up and we should stop worrying about them. Are you down to just kill North Korea?
Sure.
I don't want them around anymore. Honestly, they're just... It's literally just time after time after time after time after time where they just threaten us with bombs, or they threaten us with violence, or they threaten until we give them food or we give them this and that. And, you know, fuck them all. I hate the state of North Korea. They hate us. They treat America like it's bullshit. You know, they do nothing at all toward negotiating peace. And fuck them. Honestly, fuck them. It's a dictatorship that treats its people like human garbage, and not the way that America does it. They're not classy like the way America does it. They don't give people the opportunity to get themselves out of poop. No, they make their citizens eat poop. Okay? They make them eat feces. So fuck North Korea. I'd blow up the whole region. John Cena opens up about relationship troubles with fiancée Nikki Bella. Well, they're both famous pro wrestlers. How is that a real relationship? Oh, the first Venom trailer is here. Wait, what? What the fuck?
Hey, when are we leaving?
When it's time. When it's time. Yeah. This is so cool. Have you guys seen the Venom trailer yet? I think on Twitter, it's at Venom Movie. Just go to Twitter, look up Venom Movie. This is so cool. This is so awesome. Tom Hardy was just sitting in a bed, and then... What is this? Dude, his veins... Oh, it's coming out in October? Fuck. I thought it was around the corner. Well, kind of. Oh my god, this is going to be so fucking awesome. And apparently it's not going to be it's going to be anti-hero Venom. Eddie Brock. It's not going to be... It's going to be Eddie Brock, by the way. So the difference between Eddie Brock being the Venom and... Fuck, can't remember his name. You remember Spider-Man 3, the guy who played Venom? It was, Anyways, so there's two Venoms. There was the guy from Spider-Man 3. He was Peter Parker's kind of nemesis, you know, inside of that newspaper thing. And then he got the Venom power, and he wanted to kill Spider-Man, right? Eddie Brock is a little different. Eddie Brock was the guy that Peter Parker went to high school with. You remember the high school bully from, well, I'm sure it's kind of been in all of them now. There's been 3 actors who play Eddie Brock. But let's go back to Spider-Man 1, just Spider-Man. Do you remember that? There was that high school fight, and the guy got in a fight with him. So that's Eddie Brock. And what's different is the Eddie Brock Venom becomes Agent Venom, in the comics at least. And Agent Venom is a hero. He works with Spider-Man. He works with the Avengers, too. Like, he's a good guy. And the thing that makes him so different when Eddie Brock is because Eddie Brock loves Spider-Man. And it's kind of like, before he figured out the real identity of Spider-Man, he just respected him so much. And then it was in the comics, it was more like the fact that because he was so much like Spider-Man, it like gave him control. It gave him a kind of control that, the other Venom just didn't have. The other Venom, I can't remember his name to save my life, but the first Venom was completely evil just because he hated Peter Parker and he hated Spider-Man and he hated, so that hate came out. But when Eddie Brock becomes Venom, it's more like, you know what I mean? It's not about hate, really. It's just kind of about the way that it affects you. I don't know. I'm really excited about the symbiotes. Because they're going to do a whole symbiote series. It's not just about Venom. They're not just dropping Venom off, like a dead plate. It's, it's going to be the whole symbiotes. It's going to be all of them. I'm hyped. I'm super hyped. Jenna Dawes' honest quotes on making time for sex will make you nod and agree. Channing Tatum's wife, she did an entire article about making time for sex. That's awesome. Donald Trump and Barack Obama are on the same team, Fox Business host says. President Donald Trump and his predecessor Barack Obama are on the same side, according to Fox host, speaking in Wednesday evening discussion on the economy. I mean, Donald Trump's a complete capitalist, and let's face it, Obama's flat out said he's a socialist, so I'm not sure what the same side means to you guys, but that's not it. Do you think anybody's even listening to this radio show after my racist rant? It doesn't matter. Russell Wilson gets traded to the Yankees. The Texas Rangers. Oh yeah, I remember reading about that. Russell Wilson. He went from going on the Dallas Cowboys to the Texas Rangers, and he's being traded to the Yankees now. That's insane. You go from football to baseball, and then you get traded from like a team to. Ooh, Doctor Who, Billy Piper may return as Rose. Former Doctor Who star Billy Piper may be set to return to the show in season 11 after social media sparked speculation online and perhaps her best-known on-screen role, Rose. Sorry, there's other stuff going on with the cult. I'm not even going to talk about that. Longer winters are calming in reality, but will partially blunt global warming for 50 years. I believe in global warming. I just don't believe in the numbers anymore because there's so many different numbers and none of them are true. You know what I mean? We're having one of the most intense winters we've ever had in a while because of the way that the ocean currents are being affected by all the water being pumped from the glaciers melting. But I don't know. I think we're confusing, global warming with climate change because it's just not the same thing. It's two different subjects at this point, and I don't know. Mike Pence speaks out about alleged meeting he offered to Olympian Adam Rippon. When he asked whether he would meet with Pence at the Winter Games, Rippon said, "I would absolutely not go out of my way to meet somebody who I felt has gone out of their way to not," and then they stop. I'm not going to read into that more. I thought it had something to do with the fact that Mike Pence is gay and that guy, he looked a little gay, and maybe they're going to be gay together. I don't know. Not that he's gay. I don't know. Anyways, it's been a good radio show, I guess. I talked a lot about a lot of stuff. I really wanted Adam to be in here today. We were going to do an episode of Oops, but apparently that's not happening today. I do want to speak about Jeremy Lin respectfully responds to a racial slur on Twitter. This will be the last thing we talk about. But apparently the Brooklyn Nets point guard responded to a Twitter post user who called him a chink after the player tweeted about the New England Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski during Sunday's Purple Bowl. Being the respectful dude that he is, the point guard clapped back nicely, taking down the quiet submissive. And this is what he said on Twitter. "Oh, don't do that. Asians are speaking out too. We aren't doormats." That's all he said. Somebody called him a chink. He goes, "Oh, don't do that. Asians are speaking out too. We aren't doormats." That's all he said. That's really good. And that teaches you, that's the difference between Well, I can't say that racism doesn't exist when clearly it does. I think racism is totally having a rehearsal just because of all the stuff that's been going on in the past like 2 years. It's people are trying to bring it back. It was slowly starting to go away, but then people started pointing out who's racist again, and you start to create sides. Here's the thing. I just really wanted to get quiet. But here's the thing about race. I mean, it's just I wish it would go away permanently. I think everybody really feels that way now. As far as like, what we want for our country, what we want for the future, what we want life to be like, as far as where we're going in the universe. You know what I mean? Like, as far as time, it's just like, I just wish racism was completely over. Because I feel like I'm already doing my part. Hold on. I feel like I'm already doing my part by trying to do my best to try to get people to stop being racist who are. Well, I know a couple people in my life who say racist stuff. Sometimes. They're not racist. They say racist stuff sometimes. And, I feel like I go out of my way to try to point them out and say, hey, look, man, that's not chill. But it's not everybody. It's really not. But fuck race. I don't give a shit about it. I don't think anybody else does. Well, be loud already.
Sorry.
So, I really don't have anything else to say about it. Because it's just, it kind of cuts into my soul. I don't give a shit, and I don't think anybody who's smart does. So, it's just about taking care of the rest of the idiots at this point, and it's all we can really focus on. Thank you for listening, and watching my show, and I'll see you soon.